Welcome to a long time ago. We're back. It's Adam Long and Martin Long. How's it going, Martin?
It's going well, thanks, Adam.
Good. You're managing to keep a straight face despite wearing that hat.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm looking at you in that awesome Christmas jumper, and you're having to look at me with these stupid ears.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
So it is Christmas Eve. Well, it's not Christmas Eve, but it is. This is being released on Christmas Eve. So Merry Christmas to everyone out there. All our watchers.
Everybody, Adam's just put himself under a lot of pressure that it has to be released on Christmas Eve now.
Yeah. But we should be all right.
We should be all right.
Hopefully. Anyway, we are cracking on with your collection, your new collection, Making the Grade, which is
part
Martin.
2.
This is part 2. Martin is aiming to collect all of the original 96 Kenner figures, but they have to be graded. Although there is the option to send some for grading at some point if need be.
Yeah, I think we said for some of the extortionately expensive figures, we'd try and buy them loose if we can with weapons and send them off to be graded. I did find out today actually that it's a 26 weeks waiting list for grading. So
Jesus. 26 day wouldn't be so bad, but 26 weeks.
Yeah, that's
a long
crazy
time.
amount of time. But it's obviously quite a popular thing to do. So it's something else we've learned.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that if it comes back in a good sort of state with good high grade, it's probably increased the value quite dramatically, couldn't it?
No, not only increased the value, I think, in terms of if you ever wanted to sell it, but I think it saved you a hell of a lot of money in terms of buying it graded. I mean, I wanted to start off this episode and every further episode with things that I've learned since the last episode, because obviously I'm very new to collecting grade. I mean, I've collected lots of graded items. You'll see lots behind me, but I've always just picked up things that I like the look of. And this is actually loose grading, and I don't really know too much about it. And through this process of trying to collect all 96, I've learned quite a lot of stuff already, and I'll update everybody.
Early days as well, but
very early days. And there's been a few things that I've learned over the last week or so. The fan community is absolutely brilliant. I mean, we've had loads of people giving us tips and comments and things. And there was a particular guy who left a message on our last video, Gerard Coyle 4022, who wrote a really nice message and gave us some tips and tricks about collecting loose graded. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, that a UKG grade 85 would probably only receive an AFA grade 80. So perhaps AFA are a little bit more stricter in terms of grading than perhaps UKG are. Now, that's a general broad thing to say, I know, but that was quite interesting, because after he wrote that, I've actually heard that a couple of times from other people, that they perhaps aren't quite as strict. And so that obviously, you know, when it comes to me buying any loose figures in the future, and I would have to send them off to the UKG, because obviously being in the UK, it's far easier and cheaper to do that. So, you know, I want to get as high a grade as possible. So if I try and find something that I think might get an 85 AFA, it may come back as a 90, or, you know, I may pick up something that I think looks really great and actually comes back lower. So it's all, you know, it's really interesting and fun to find out these things.
Well, along those lines then, it's obviously going to be easier for us to get, or for you to get, the UKG grade or UK graded items. But like, is there sort of a rough idea of what's in circulation with regards to like AFA over here?
I mean,
or is that a question for our watchers?
I mean,
listeners?
Obviously, I'm constantly on the hunt for things now, and you know, I have to say, when you look on, I'll use eBay, unfortunately, as an example. no, I'd say 90% of what's on there is UKG graded
Yeah.
loose Kenner figures, and there's a smattering of AFA. But then there's also something else that I've learned is there's different case styles that you can get. Now there's an older case style where the figure would fit in the case and the weapon would be stuck on a piece of acrylic just to the side of the figure.
Mm.
Whereas the newer cases, which are ones that thankfully I've got now, the ones I've got so far are all the newer style case,
Yeah.
and they have the weapons sort of displayed to the side of the figure in a laser cut piece of acrylic.
Yeah.
We'll pop up a couple of examples of the two
Yeah.
now, but yeah. So obviously, I really prefer the newer style because it gives you a really nice look of the
Better
figure
view.
and the
Yeah.
weapon,
Mm.
whereas the previous older style is stuck to the side. So I think from what I've seen on eBay, there's quite a lot of people are trying to get rid of the oldest case style, perhaps, and there's a lot of that available, still
Mm.
at quite high prices, I have to say. But there's a lot more of that available than perhaps the newer case style
Right.
items. So yeah,
Yeah.
as I say, wow. I mean, a few
Still.
weeks into it, and there's a lot to know about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. So
Yeah.
where have you been sort of looking then for all of these so
Well, again,
far?
one someone pointed me, Justin, if he's watching, really helped me out with this. So thanks, Justin. He pointed me towards a Facebook page called Echo Base, which I was thankfully allowed to join. I requested to
Brilliant.
join a couple of weeks ago, and basically they, you know, talk about original Kenner figures, Palitoy figures, etc. And they have a lot of people on there who pass on figures, sell figures, that
Mm.
sort of thing. And I mean, wow, what a generous community so far already. It's unbelievable. Here's just one quick example. There's a 85% UK graded yak face on eBay I saw the other day,
Okay.
and it was on sale for £950. Now, I was on the Facebook group, and there was a chap on there who was selling the same, not the same figure, obviously, but the same
Mm.
85% UKG yak face, and he wanted 495 for it.
Wow.
Now, yeah, don't get me wrong, £495, a lot of money,
It is
but
a lot, but that's still an absolute
well,
bargain
it's
in
it's
comparison.
nearly half price compared
Yeah.
to what they're selling on eBay. So I'm thinking, where I can, and there seem to be a lot more AFA graded figures on there as well.
Mm.
Where I can, I might use groups like this to try and pick up a few figures here or there, because
Definitely.
I think the people on there, they aren't they aren't trying to make money. They're just trying to, pass
Move
on,
on and yeah, move
yeah,
on
and
some figures and
so that they can buy some other things. So
yeah.
definitely recommend that Echo Base group for anybody who's looking for vintage figures. It's a really good site.
Mm. No, that's impressive. That's
Yeah.
quite good.
Mm.
So go on then. Do you want to move on to what you've managed to pick up
Yep.
recently? Your latest pickups?
We're starting off strong again. I've managed to pick up four more graded figures.
Excellent.
So I'll go through them all. The first one I got was a 1983 Weequay. It's a no COO UK graded 85%, and that cost me £65. So I
Okay.
think that's a pretty good price
Yeah, you're
for an
happy with that?
85%.
Mm.
Yeah, I think so. Again, it was nice to see in the comments that I got a bargain in my previous four from the last video.
Yeah.
So that was nice to
Yeah.
read, because
Yeah.
I don't really know. I can obviously use guides and things, but you never really know, do you?
No. No.
Um, Market value is.
So, so a little bit about Weequay then. He was
Yeah,
another Jabba's Barge character,
yeah, I
was he?
think, yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the figures I'm going to pick up early on are going to be Return the Jedi figures, because they seem to be the most prevalent out there.
Hmm.
Well, most of them anyway. And yeah, he was another Jabba's denizen. He was on the
Hmm.
sail barge when he was like, holding Luke and Han and Chewie
Yeah.
on the small sail barge, the skiff, I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks gorgeous figure. Really, really. I mean, it looks absolutely mint. To be quite honest with you, I think
Hmm.
it's a great figure. There's no blemishes on it at all. So I'm really happy with that one.
Yeah. Good. And does well, we said before, didn't we, about the species? They some on some of the figures they were named the species of the character, and on other ones they were actually given the name. Um, I'm assuming Weequay is the name of this guy.
No, Weequay is the species, I'm
Weequay
afraid.
is the species.
Yeah,
All right.
Weequay is the species. Yeah.
Okay. And is the
Um,
species seen anywhere in any other Star Wars material?
yes. Yeah, we've definitely seen them in the Clone Wars,
Mm.
and we've seen them in the Mandalorian quite a lot. In fact, I watched you know the Book of Boba Fett. Do you know the scene where he goes at the beginning of the Mandalorian in episode 6, I think it is? He goes into that sort of freezer place, and he goes to collect the bounty on that guy. And do you remember it had all the meat packing and everything?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think so.
I believe they were Weequay in there.
Mm.
So yeah, we've definitely seen them before, and as I say, we've definitely seen them in animated Star
Yeah.
Wars, and I'd probably put money we've seen them in other live action. Definitely the prequels.
Mm.
Hmm.
Good. Okay. Next one.
Um, Second figure was a 1980 Rebel soldier. The COO was Hong Kong. It's UK graded 85% again, so I'm managing to keep my 85%.
That's good. That was kind of the goal, wasn't it,
It
originally?
was, if possible. And that one was a cost of £70. So again, I hope I haven't overpaid. It sounds quite expensive, those £70. But again, really happy with the figure. It looks in absolute immaculate condition.
Mm.
Again, this was another figure I had when I was a kid. So when I hold it in the case,
Yeah.
takes me back,
Yeah.
massively. It's such a good figure.
Yeah.
It's really weird because they're so simple compared to the modern day figures that we see, where they've got all the different points of articulation. These literally just move up and down legs and arms,
Yeah.
and some of them, their necks don't even move, you know. But it doesn't matter. I guess it's just that nostalgia, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, these guys are in acrylic cases now, so they're not moving, not doing much movement
No,
at
they're
all.
not moving at all. They probably break, fall apart or something.
Yeah.
Um,
But, well, they're originals, so that's all that
yeah,
matters. Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously I think that would be my first Empire Strikes Back figure.
All right.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and you
So
say
that
all the other ones are Return of the Jedi at the moment.
yeah, every single figure I've got so far, with the exception of Chewbacca from the last video,
Mm.
they're all
Yeah.
and Hammerhead, beg your pardon. So that was a New Hope or Star Wars. So, but the next two are Return of the Jedi, and the next one is a 1983 Logray, and that COO was Macau. So that's a new country of origin for
Mm.
me so far. And that was again UK graded 85%, and that one cost £65. So I think that one, you know, was quite a good buy.
Mm.
I've seen quite a few low grays available on eBay, but I haven't seen any as cheap as £65. So I was
No, it
quite happy with that.
seems pretty good price. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It seems to be like the 85% are all, well, if you can get them around that sort of money, then
Yeah,
not too bad.
these Return the Jedi ones. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
there's
yeah.
there's a few I'm looking at for, you know, getting that will probably may appear in part 3 of this, that we won't be going anywhere near
No.
70.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Um, so little question, I suppose, about the Ewoks, because Logray's an Ewok. I actually would have pronounced that Logray. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I don't recall them pronouncing or having saying the names of many Ewok in the film.
No names
No,
were ever mentioned. The
no.
Logo was the medicine man
And
of the tribe.
so did their names come with the release of the action figures?
Yeah, I would think so. Most characters, to be fair, that aren't main characters or
Mm,
named characters, they probably would have had to have their names made up
yeah,
for the figures. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, we've discussed the species sometimes being put on the card,
yeah.
but if there was more than one of the species, they couldn't call them, I suppose, Ewok 1,
No,
Ewok 2. I think
no.
there was something like
So
7 Ewoks possibly released
that
on
was
the
going to be
Blu-ray.
my next question. How many
Yeah.
Ewoks did they? did they
I think there were
release?
7.
Mm.
Again, there was a really cool group called Blacked Out Ewoks, who wrote us a really nice message from the previous but one episode.
Okay.
And they're called the Blacked Out Ewoks because on the back of the vintage card, they blacked out 2 of the figures, and they were meant to be a surprise.
All right.
No one knew what they were.
Mm.
I'll send you a picture to flash up on the screen, but
Yeah.
yeah, and they were both Ewoks, and obviously that's why they called themselves Blacked Out Ewoks. But
Yeah. Nice.
yeah, no, it's I think there were 7, possibly 8. And we'll talk some point about what they call the last 17, which were the last 17 figures released on the Power of the Jedi cards. And there was 2 or 3 Ewoks, I think, possibly 2 Ewoks released in that wave. So
Yeah.
yeah, sorry,
Okay.
rambling.
No, no, it's fine. It's all interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Last figure that you've managed to pick up then this week.
yeah, this one
Say
again,
this
another
week, this last few weeks.
yeah, this figure, another favorite from when I was a kid. I had 2 of these when I was a kid because you had to have 2. It's a 1983 Emperor's Royal Guard, COO Taiwan, UKG graded 85%, and this one cost me £70 as well.
Yeah.
Again, you know me and the bad guys, the dark side. They've always
Yeah.
been my favorite characters,
Yeah.
and I had an Emperor figure.
Of course.
He didn't have a name, Palpatine, back then. Possibly did in the novelization, but I didn't know that at the time. So you needed to have 2 because obviously you needed one to stand either side of him when you
Yeah.
were playing with them.
So their role in the film, did they get into any action in the film? I don't really recall.
No, they just
Trying to think,
stood
they were
by
kind
the
of in
side of
the
the
background.
lift.
They didn't do much,
Yeah,
did they?
no, there is a deleted scene where Vader goes to see the Emperor. Again, if you haven't seen it, I'll send that over to you. Perhaps you can put some pictures up of it. Where Darth Vader tries to get in to see the Emperor, and they stop him by pointing their weapons at him. And Darth Vader backs down, and
What?
you know, yeah, I know that's probably why it was
That's
deleted.
why
To
it
be
was
honest,
deleted. Yeah.
yeah, Moff Jarod or Jeff Jarod, who was in charge of the Death Star. God, I can't remember his name. Another figure that's never been released, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did have a little bit of action, but of course we remember them probably most from Revenge of the Sith, where Yoda walks in and just flicks his hand, and they just go flying up against the wall and get knocked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. 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 And they're not obvious, they're not the Emperor's guards at that point, but the Last Jedi. One of the
Oh, the
better scenes
Praetorian
in the Last
Guards,
Jedi. Are they just Praetorian guards? They're not, because I suppose Snoke.
Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, they were called Praetorian Guards. There's actually a vintage collection figure,
Mm.
Praetorian Guard.
Does it differ much from the Emperor's Royal Guards?
Well, they're red. I mean,
Yeah,
but that's
that's
about as
pretty
much
much.
as that's pretty much as much. I mean, I have to
There's not
admit,
much to them, really.
well, I have to say the Praetorian Guards look awesome.
Mm.
They really do. I mean, I'm not someone who loves the sequel trilogy. Everyone knows that, but I will say if something's cool and looks good, and damn, they looked good.
Mm.
It's the same as Snoke. I thought Snoke was awesome as well.
Yeah, I mean that I've mentioned before. Like,
Mm.
killing him off was one of the worst decisions I feel that they made, because he
Yeah, I
was such an
agree.
interesting character. But
It
we're
was.
not here to talk about the sequels.
No, it always seems to descend into that though, doesn't
We
it?
do get
Somehow.
off track quite easily, don't we? Yeah.
Dear.
So that's that for this week. Then how are you getting on,
Well,
money
I've
wise? Then?
got I well, I think so. What did I spend so far? Oh God, I can't remember. We have to add it up and put it up on the screen because I can't honestly remember off the top of my head. I know I spent £170, £270 on those 4
Mhm.
figures, so quite a fair whack. But I'm not going to give anything away. But I have a couple that I've bid on
Yeah.
in the pipeline, and I'm hoping to get one of them. And I wouldn't call it a holy grail figure, but I'd certainly call it a figure that is one of the top tier figures for me
Okay,
anyway, that I'm hoping to get hold of. But we'll have to wait and see, and that'll be revealed in part 3 of making the grade. So
excellent,
yeah, but
excellent.
I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. My
Yeah,
passion for this has not waned in the
no,
slightest.
no, and like we say, we've had some excellent comments from our listeners so far,
Yeah.
which is
Yes, please,
so
please keep them
helpful. And
coming.
just
Please keep them coming. So helpful.
yeah, yeah, it's brilliant. So all in all, then you are now up to 8 out of 96 figures
Yeah.
collected.
It's not
But
bad
you're
for
getting
3 weeks, to be
no,
fair.
no. We've got a mix. We got well, we'll get to it towards the end. But I was going to
Yeah.
suggest about upgrading Chewy, as we weren't really expecting him, and he came in at 75%. So
Yeah,
at some point, but sometime in the future, I
definitely.
expect. Yeah. Okay. That'll do it for this week then, I think. I need to get away from you because you're wearing that stupid hat and I can't take it anymore.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we hope you all have a great Christmas. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one, which will probably be in the new year, I expect. So, yeah, have a good one, and we'll
Bye.
catch you later. Bye.